guys, before we get started with this video, I would just like to say if you're enjoying my content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and give that notification bell a big ol' smack for me. It helps the channel out a lot. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Connect the Dots. This is episode 2. Last time in episode 1, I interviewed the chairwoman of Chicken Shack. If you have not seen that, make sure to check it out. It was a great interview. But today, I am interviewing the owner and one of the co-owners of GLACE Ice Cream Parlor. So, yeah, pretty big interview today. So, this interview was much longer than the last one, by far. Last time, it was only 40 minutes. The fact that I'm saying only 40 minutes should tell you how long this is going to be. And this interview, raw, unedited, was 2.5 hours long. Just a little bit over 2.5 hours long. Only probably like a few minutes was cut out of the 2.5 hour interview. So, yeah, there's a lot of footage to be uploaded. So, I'm not going to upload it all at once, because that would just be ridiculous to upload a 2.5 hour long video. I don't think people could sit there and watch the whole thing in one sitting. So, I'm going to be uploading this interview in multiple parts. If I was to give a guess, it's going to probably be 2 or 3 parts. Most certainly 3. I don't know if I could do it in 2 parts. It could even be 4. We'll have to see. So, yeah, I interviewed, like I said, the owner and co-owner of GLACE Ice Cream Parlor. Now, like I said before in the previous video, if there's anybody that has any drama or beef with any of the people I'm interviewing, just let it be known that I am not involved in it. I'm not friends with these people. Like I said, after this interview is over, we're probably going to go our separate ways and most likely never speak again. So if anybody has any drama with them, or if there's any controversy surrounding these people, just know I'm not involved in it. Don't worry about me taking any sides in controversy, alright? It's sad that I have to even say that, because, like, me making an interview with these gentlemen may be enough to make people think, oh, he's siding with them and whatever might be going on. But just to put it out there on the record, I'm not involved, okay? If there is anything going on. Just making that very clear. The reason why I'm conducting this interview, like I mentioned in the previous episode, is to clear up misunderstandings between trollers and the games that they troll at. That's literally the only reason, so that we can learn more about these groups, and these groups can learn more about us. That's what it's all about. That's why it's called Connect the Dots. So, with that being said, let's jump into part 1 of Connect the Dots, episode 2. I hope you guys enjoy. Hello, everybody! Oh, sorry.
My bad, sorry.
It's okay. Okay, let's try that one more time. Alright, everybody, welcome back to Connect the Dots. We're already on episode 2. I thought it was going to be a little longer before we got here, but I am joined with the owner and the co-owner of GLACE Ice Cream Parlor. I have the owner, Alex. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing alright. Excited to be here.
And then we have the co-owner, Mr. Crimson. How are you doing, Mr. Crimson?
Hi there, I'm good, thank you. Are you?
I am doing fantastic. So, if you guys haven't seen Connect the Dots already, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
So, if you guys didn't see Connect the Dots episode 1, I would definitely recommend checking that out, because I went more in depth on what this series is in episode 1. So, if you haven't seen that, make sure to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. So, to give a basic rundown, it's just a series where I interview high-ranking and owners of the groups that we troll at. So, today, I am interviewing the owner and co-owner of GLACE Ice Cream Parlor. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a big shout-out to Jay, the developer of this game, because he's actually the one who led me to these two. He just direct messaged me on Twitter after a stream and said, hey, I could hook you up with some people. So I just want to give a massive stinky shout out to Jay for hooking me up with these guys. I mean, he's not in the call right now, but I'm sure he's watching the video right now. Thank you very much, Jay. Really appreciate it. So anyways, if you guys don't have any further questions, we can get started.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so since you guys are the guests on the show, I'll let you guys go first. Now, since we have 2 people here, I guess I'll have to choose one of you to start with questions. Did you guys have a preferred choice of who goes first?
I actually had a question, if I could.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right, because I know, like, I saw, like, what made you start. You said Shaletsky, or you met Shaletsky, and he kind of, like, you made the channel back in 2012. But I was more curious, like, what made you kind of realize, like, you could actually, do this as kind of like a career kind of thing and post, weekly or whatever your schedule is?
That's a good question. So, I think so. It's about my YouTube career. I think at first it was just a hobby. It was just something I wanted to do because, like I had mentioned in the previous interview, I was inspired by Sky Does Minecraft and other YouTubers I'd watched. So at first, I had the dream of doing it for a job, but I always kind of thought that was a faraway dream that I was never really going to reach, or something I was not going to reach at least anytime soon. And I was kind of right, because I didn't start doing this as a job until like 6 years later. So I think for me at first it was just a hobby, something I did to distract me from my personal struggles. I mean, people kind of do that. They'll come up with ways to, have a distraction from whatever stresses they have in their personal lives. And that was kind of mine, was making YouTube videos. And, I don't know when I realized that it could have become a profitable thing, because I think once the channel took off in like early 2019, I was like, okay, so maybe this could happen. But I think for most of the time it was just a hobby, really.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I know trolling, the trolling videos, they kind of blew up 2019. Yeah. It's insane. But I like it. I don't have any problem with it. People are like, oh, trollers are bad. Like the professional groups, they're all about, trolling's bad. I think it's fine. It brings a new community in, and it brings attention to some games that don't get any attention. So I'm all for it.
That is good to hear. So do you have any other questions?
Crimson, you got any?
No, not really. Just the same as what Simply said,
Yeah, I might as well ask another one then. I had another one about, I was just wondering, how do you, your community, does your community choose the games you troll at, or do you kind of just find places, go to them?
On every video I ask them to give me ideas on places to troll at, but to be honest with you, a lot of times I choose at random. Sometimes I choose, if I see one group got more one video got more attention than another, obviously Frappe seems to be the place that I get the most views on, is Frappe. Yeah. That's what people seem to like the most. So I'm like, okay, I should definitely keep Frappe on the bucket list, but at the same time, I can't just spam Frappe videos. I need to make other places. I need to give other places attention as well, because if I just spam the same content over and over again, it'll get boring. But a lot of times it'll be either if it's a place that I think is fun to troll at, like Iron Cafe or Pastries Bakery, or it's a group that gets a lot of attention, like Frappe, or sometimes it's just a place like, I've never been to this place before, maybe I should try it out. And sometimes it's from a comment. Like very recently, I think somebody said to do a video at Iron Cafe, and I was like, okay, yeah, I should do Iron Cafe.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, your community probably, they kind of follow you wherever they go, because I'm looking at your views, and you get pretty you're pretty consistent, in a few in the thousands.
Oh yeah, they're a very loyal fan base. I have to give them that. They are a very loyal fan base.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I don't really have any questions.
Okay, then I guess we can move on to the questions for you guys then. Alright, let me get my list here. Okay, so these are going to be a lot of the same questions from the last interview, but of course, since you're different people, you'll probably give different answers. But I'll probably come up with follow-up questions that are new, hopefully. Okay, so since, I want to get different answers from both of you, I guess I'll start with one of you and then the other. So I guess I'll start with Alex. So what is the story of what got you to where you are? What is the story of what got you to be the owner of GLACE Ice Cream Parlor?
We could go back 5 years, I guess, or 2016, late 2016. So, me and my friend, we acquired a group, Salona's Resort. It's dead now, it's gone. But OG, people part of the roleplay community that are OGs will probably know of it. Me and my friend, he got the group, and I sort of ran it for him. We've been best friends forever. And then he quit Roblox and handed me the group, and I owned it from mid 2017 all the way to the end of early 2019. No, early 2020. Sorry. And I mean, 2019. I was right. And I mean, that happened, and the group kind of went downhill because it was dead. It was a professional group. I loved the group. I loved the people that worked there. It's just bad things happened. I ended up I made really poor decisions, and I've learned from them. But it kind of went downhill from there. But then, to fund the group, I got another group called Cream Ice Cream Parlor, which a lot of people will know because it was pretty popular back in 2019 as well. And that's where I met Crimson. And I used it to fund Salonas Resort, but when I got rid of Salonas Resort, Cream became my full-time thing. It blew up. We were gaining we had 100 players consistently. It was really big. And then Cream I kind of took a break from Roblox. Cream fell off, and then I gave it to a friend. But with the money I had, I ended up getting GLACE. And I helped with the help of Cream staff, Crimson, Maddie, Nikki. Oh yeah, and Nikki, he's been with me forever. And I got here to today, and I've not only owned GLACE, but I own Chicken Shack actually. I actually was the one who gave it to Jacqueline. So yeah, I gave her the group because I knew that she could run it better than I did. So I handed it over. And yeah, I've owned a lot of groups, and yeah, but GLACE is by far the most popular group I've owned.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, no, wait, what were you going to say? I
was going to say, so you're the one who founded GLACE. You're the one who made it from the ground up.
No. I consider, GLACE had... so GLACE was founded in 2016 by this really OG guy. You got to be kind of, a part of the community forever to know this guy. His name was Zuovo. He owned GLACE, and GLACE used to be really popular 2016. It kind of died out, and then he sold it to this other dude. He continued it, but then you remember when botting groups was a big thing back then?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, so a lot of the members were kind of botted. I got the group at 30K members, but most of the members were bots. We fixed that though, don't worry. Oh. But yeah, I've owned it since 30K, but the game was dead for 2 years. I consider myself as the founder, I guess you could say, but not really. Because I made, I didn't make it personally active. Obviously, I had the help of staff, and I kind of had luck on my side because COVID, everyone was indoors, and starting a cafe mid-2020 was probably the best time to do it, if anything, because that was when a lot of games were blowing up and stuff.
Yeah, because everybody was in quarantine. Yeah. So, Mr. Crimson, what's the story of what got you to where you are?
Well, it started in 2018, did my story. I came across an ad at Cream, and I clicked on it, had a little look at the game. That was probably the first major roleplay group I was a part of. Apart from Blah, I worked at Blah a couple of months before that, but I wasn't really overly active in that community. Mm-hmm. So I joined Cream in December, I think, of 2018. Worked my way up to assistant manager, and then Alex bought the group, or he got given the group in January of 2019, I think. And then I got promoted to SHR by that April, and then I became Cream's head of staffing, and I was in that role for over a year. And yeah, I got promoted to second in charge of the group, vice president at the start of 2020. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, from that point on, that's kind of where me and Alex kind of developed our friendship, would you say?
Yeah.
But yeah, in the start of 2020, that was kind of the start there. And obviously, Alex said, Cream did go under a new ownership, which I left Cream in June of that year, and I went to GLACE and helped start it up with Simply. But I have since returned to Cream now that simply got ownership of it, and I'm the vice president there. So it's been an interesting journey. I've mainly only worked at 2 groups, but I have been around on the platform for about 3 years now. But no, I've it's getting to that stage for me personally. Probably looking at toning it down a bit, especially where I am at with real life stuff. I'm coming up to a lot of major milestones, which means that I will probably have less time for Roblox. So I think it's good that we're doing this interview when we are, in my opinion, because it kind of puts things into perspective for me.
It puts them into, what do you mean that puts it into perspective?
As in, it's this interview going over stuff, and it makes me think about the history of where I was and up to this point now, where it's kind of like dying down a bit, so to speak.
So are you thinking? Are you considering retirement? Is that what you're saying?
In a way, yeah. Probably from all major stuff, but yeah, I'll just have to see where it goes. I know I've got major stuff coming up in my personal life, and it will make me think about the Roblox community as a whole.
Yeah, I can respect that. I think your personal life definitely comes first, no matter what goes on online. Your personal life definitely goes first, and if you feel like you need to retire, then yeah, that's your decision to make. Absolutely. Okay, so the second question was, have you worked in other groups? But you guys kind of both answered that question already. So I'll just check that off. Come on, check. Okay, so we're gonna now go on to the trolling now. So if we'll start with Alex. So what is your honest opinion on trollers? No filter, no sugarcoating, no nothing. Just your honest opinion on trollers.
Most people that work for me will probably know that I said this, and this is my honest opinion. I love trollers. In fact, I tell people not to p-ban them or anything. Raiders, I'm fine with, because it brings attention to the game, right? And people don't understand that they're all trollers are not breaking any. They're breaking maybe our game rules per se, but it's if you think about it, you're trolling on a front page game. You're not going to get banned for just trolling, Maybe if it's harassment, maybe, but you're not going to be banned. And I think of it as a thing where it's it's like a role play scenario for the staff as well, and for in trainings we teach people how to train against trollers, right?
Yep.
And if we don't allow trollers in the game, then what's the whole point of the training process? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It adds a aspect to the role play, and I troll personally, so it's for me to be against trolling it would be kind of hypocritical.
Wow, that's quite a reveal there. Oh man. Okay, so Mr. Crimson, what is your honest opinion on trollers?
The same with Alex, to be fair. I think a lot of people don't realise that trollers do bring audience. And for my personal, if I'm being honest, if you asked me the question 2 years ago, I'd have given you a completely different answer, because I was more like a middle rank or a high rank back then. So I think, bearing in mind on your status in the group, you'll have different opinions of it. As a co-owner thing, I agree that we look at it as a way of publicity, and I have featured in a couple of videos. People have made videos that have used my avatar, to mimic certain stuff, and I do watch it, and I do think it's hilarious. I really do. I think trolling is something that people take far too seriously. I mean, at the end of the day, Roblox is designed to be a platform to have fun on.
Exactly.
But where I cross the line is where it gets personal and targets one person.
What's a good example? Who's that YouTuber that made the video on Cream and just got 300K views? C-Smart. He blew up because of trolling on our game. Look at it. If you look at his first video, it's on Cream, and this is when I owned Cream, and he got 400,000 views on that. And he came to GLACE 2. He comes to our games and he gets hundreds of thousands of views because of it. And I mean, that back then, I told people they thought it was crazy. Like we got to ban his group. We got to do all this. And I was like, look, man, this guy, he's doing really well, and we're doing really well. So we maybe just let it keep happening, and it's not constant. We're not totally professional. We sell rank, so it's like we can't we sell ranks, and people who buy ranks they'll abuse admin. And it's just like to say trolling's bad. Again, it's just hypocritical. But then it's all about perspective. Like I understand it's hard to deal with because then it's for some people it gets super annoying because like they're just trying to serve someone an item, and people like that it gets. I can understand it gets annoying, but I mean it gives MRs a job to ban them or kick them, and it gives high ranks a job. It gives everybody a job to deal with the troller, and so that's how I think. I don't think you should ban them. Like, I don't think you should P-ban someone because they're just messing around. But someone who's exploiting, for other people and messing around with them, or, someone who's harassing, leaking personal information, I do not side with that whatsoever.
No. Yeah. I agree,
But, trolling's just like, like ordering like a McDonald's hamburger at like people do that all the time. They'll say like, I want a hamburger and I think it's funny because it's like, obviously, we don't have hamburgers. They know that, and people when they pretend that they don't understand English when they do, that's funny too. Like,
I think you have to be. It's just different types, and I mean, with different people in the group. I know some people do take the job as it is a job. People do take it very seriously, but then there's other people who are more relaxed. So it depends, and I think it depends who you speak to about it. Will give you a certain perspective. Yeah. But I do think most group owners and most co-owners of groups don't think it is a massive issue. And I think, but the staff, however, the middle ranks, the higher ranks, and the lower ranks, if you ask any of them, probably they don't like 70% of the time they'll turn around and say they hate it.
That's actually an interesting perspective. So maybe I should start thinking about maybe going down the chain a little bit with some of these interviews, is maybe interviewing people that are like mid-ranks, maybe see if they give different perspectives on it. Okay, so this leads into the next question. Now, this is a big topic for me, probably the biggest topic on my YouTube channel. It's my channel trailer, trolling versus bullying. Do you think there is... I mean, you've kind of already answered the question a bit, but maybe I'll get a little bit more information out of it. What do you think the difference between trolling and bullying is?
So, from my opinion, I mean, I was head of staffing of Cream, for over a year. I dealt with bullying on a level where it's a group of people. Well, from my perspective of bullying and what I've grown up with, is that bullying is a group of people targeting one person over and over again. It's a continual thing. Whereas trolling is not a continual thing because it's not targeting people. Well, it can be, but usually it's not because it doesn't target one person individually specifically, and that's where it crosses the line and is wrong. I mean, bullying is taking somebody and attacking them on a personal level over and over again, finding things about the personal lives. I mean, we deal with that a hell of a lot at GLACE, and I mean, we have a strict no bullying policy, and I think that trolling is not bullying. It's really not bullying, and I think that a lot of people do need to understand the difference, and your video does help to give that perspective.
And something else, like when you're in game, like the thing about bullying, I think a weird subject because like when you're in game, like you saying like, oh, like what is bullying on a Roblox game? Because you don't actually know the person, right? You're just basing it off of an avatar. So it's like you comment on someone that avatar, like, oh, like they're fat, but it's like it's Roblox. You know what I mean? Like you have no idea who the person is. So it's like most of the bullying situations we deal with are with like staff on Discord,
that's
that are,
right.
Making comments on like their actual personal lives and like saying like very rude, offensive things. Like that's different than like someone in a game saying like you smell or like you're fat, because it's like they're just saying that for the sake of saying, like, because it's just a character. You know what I mean? Like they don't. But again, like when if someone says to stop, like they have a problem with it, like not stop for the sake of just stopping, but like if they have a personal problem with it because they feel like they're being like attacked or some sorts, then maybe that's that steps over the line a little bit. But again, trolling is like, ordering like McDonald's at a freaking ice cream parlor. Like that,
Yeah,
like, that's fine. But
I think as well, it also comes down to people's personal information. I mean, at GLACE, our policy is that we do not control people's personal information. We highly tell people to not give away personal information because this is an online game. It's safety and all that. But if people do give their personal information to people, who they are, what they look like, and everything like that. It's at their risk at the end of the day. We do try and make sure that we are creating a no bullying zone, but it's a lot harder when personal information is being leaked to other people. That's the type of thing that I define as bullying and harassment. It's on Discord. We don't really. I think 9 times out of 10 it is always on Discord. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't, like, Roblox bullying is like people saying dumb things to each other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really, like, it's like you're fat. Like, it's like you're saying it to an online character. I'm gonna keep repeating this, but I don't really consider that really bullying because it's like you have no idea who the person is, and but like when personal things that will trigger the other person, that crosses a line.
Like, I was at Frappe, I think it was actually the last video I made at the time of recording this anyway, and I was at Frappe behind the counter because I was trolling as a worker, and there was somebody who was going up to the admin and saying they were scared of fat people. Now, I didn't get the full conversation, but I know a very common troll is when somebody has the 1.0 avatar or blocky avatar, call it what you will, they'll call you fat. That's what I'm assuming it probably was. I mean, I didn't see the full conversation, but the admin reacted by saying, don't be discriminatory, and I was kind of like, all right, I can understand where you're coming from with the discriminatory thing, but at the same time, it's a Roblox avatar, dude.
It's a game, at the end of the day, people need to just relax a bit when it comes to it.
Like, again, it's like, okay, like, one thing I'm thinking about that actually, like commenting, like you saying, like I'm scared of fat people. Like, they're saying that to be annoying. Like, the point is like, I don't actually think they're actually scared of fat people. They're just saying that for the sake of trolling. Like, they're not. And one, like, I do remember this specific situation where someone was like, they brought in race, and they were saying like they didn't like people because of their race, and like that we do take kind of seriously because it's against Roblox TOS as well.
Yep.
And that, I mean, obviously it's very controversial, especially at a time like this, and for the past year. And so obviously, if someone's in our game, especially a staff member, if it's just some customer, we'll ban them. But if it's a staff member, we take it pretty seriously, we'll blacklist them. But again, like the fat thing, it's like you don't know if they're really fat or whatever. You're just they're just I mean,
it's just a Roblox avatar.
Yeah, it's a Roblox avatar. Yeah, and like if someone's getting triggered, like if someone's saying like that's discriminatory, like I mean, I think it's just someone that's just following rules. Because like a lot of places they have strict rules saying like no comments about and I bet you at GLACE there's gonna be if someone says that you're gonna get banned for it. I bet you. Like I tell people all the time in my game, like they're like, can I troll? And I was like, yeah, you can. Like no one's stopping you from doing anything. Like there's no feature in our game that says if you that where you start trolling. You can't even physically troll. Like, no one stops you. There's going to be punishments for your actions, but I won't punish you, but someone will. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. So the next question here, have either of you ever felt, and I'll start with Alex, have you ever felt genuine offense because of something that a troll said or did to you?
I mean, people, they'll say, people come out, they say really dumb things, and I forget most of them. But there is, there's this one time where someone brought in race, and I don't remember their name, but I do remember the situation. It was a staff member, in fact. And, they were, saying, I don't like black people and stuff like that. And that was pretty, because it's like, that, they were pretty sick, because they said it consistently, and they said it, I'm pretty sure they said it in the Discord or something, they were pretty Like they were pretty like they were consistent about it, and they were trying to get attention, but they it went a little too far, and we blacklisted them, and that's like the only. It didn't really offend me, I'm not black, but it did get to me a little bit because it's like not only is it it's a staff member who's doing this, but it's like again at a time like this, it's just to make joke. Like it's not a joke or not, it probably isn't a joke because it obviously it kind of offended a lot of people. So I wouldn't consider if it's really offensive, then I wouldn't joke or not joke. I mean,
you shouldn't do it, joke or not.
Yeah,
of course,
yeah. And on top of all that, I mean, I've said this before. When you're a worker at a place, whether it be a pixelated place or a real life job, as a worker, you represent the company. You are a representative of that group, whether that be in a positive or negative light. And you could say that, like I said, about a pixelated game, and you could say that in real life. Like if you go to McDonald's and you see a worker that's just swearing his mouth off, that's going to make McDonald's look bad, right? And if you go to another McDonald's and you see workers cleaning the tables, the place is spick and span, you're going to be like, oh, wow, the people who work here are doing a pretty good job. So whether it's positive or negative, as a worker, you represent your company.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to add on, like, because if people are watching this and, like, they're taking what I'm saying, like, in a weird way, just because I'm fine with trolling, that doesn't mean, like, I do think, like, if trollers get punished, like, I'm not going to stop anybody, because, like, we have rules to stop trollers. Like, that's just the thing. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but troller, if they have to, if they have to be punished, then they, or if they have to be kicked from the game, they will be. And, again, like, the staff, like, GLACE, like, I'm all for, like, comparing it to real life and all that, but, like, I try for the most part keep real life things outside of GLACE again, because it's like, the whole point is just a Roblox game, and a lot of people are super young, and it's just like to bring in like politics or like things about race and stuff, and like we'll announce like holidays and stuff like that, and we'll announce like we announce Pride Month and all that, but it's like it's pretty controversial. It's like I try to keep that stuff out. Like that's the point. Like drama. Like, and I used to be pretty. I mean, I still am sometimes, but like I used to be pretty like drama heavy. Like there's a lot of drama going on, and like I mean, drama. It a lot of people will do drama for the sake of getting attention. Like that's how, because it keeps things moving, I guess, and it brings attention to you. And in order to stay popular, I guess there's got to be drama involved, otherwise it's not like spicy or whatever. But
Okay, Mr. Crimson, have you ever felt genuine offense because of something a troll said or did to you?
I wouldn't necessarily say troll. I think, well, if we're classing troll as everything, but if we're talking about Roblox trolls, no, not all. People, I think a lot of Roblox owners and co-owners will have had people making false allegations about you.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Everybody who's an owner or a co-owner, pretty sure has had a false allegation made about them. And one thing that I do not support in any way, shape, or form, really, is exposed documents to an extent. Now, I think the idea of if you've got everything in your exposed document fully to the point, and this person is seriously a risk to the community, then action should be taken.
Yeah.
But myself, Alex, and other group owners have been on the receiving end of fake exposed documents, and it does hit you at the time.
Yes.
I think it hits anybody, people who make up lies and rumours about you to get attention. I think that is a massive, massive issue. Other than that, I don't really think of anything else. I think, like I say, when I was head of staffing at Cream, that's why a lot of this, came into my view. I'd never known. Being like co-owner of GLACE, I've had all this before, working at Cream. So if I'm talking about Cream, it's it was different there because you had to deal with a group more people. GLACE compared to other, I think GLACE has a younger audience compared to Cream. So I think at GLACE, you're looking at a different type of area, if you get what I mean.
Most of our SHRs are early teens. Like I'm pretty sure.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like most owners actually now are, in their old, like they're, like probably around 17, 18. That's most owners.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
because like we've been a part of this community for so long, and like, like most popular group owners have been in this community for 5 years, and you're
Oh
not
yeah.
like, unless you're in this community since you were like 9 or 10, like I mean, most people, most people now are, but it's like there's a lot of like at some point, there's going to be a new generation, because it's like a lot of us will leave Roblox, and like, or maybe not, depends. Like some people, like they live like full livable wages off of Roblox, so
Yeah, it's crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
They'll stay.
Like there's that you could say the same thing about Roblox YouTubers. Like you got people like Flamingo, Kaneko Kitten, you got Creek Craft. These people are like not just got livable wages. They're out here like being rich because of Roblox. Oh my gosh! But yeah, so alrighty, so this is a completely new topic here. So there is a very, very prominent rumor, and I'm sure you've heard this time and time again from trollers and probably many different sources, the rumor that groups promote based on aesthetic avatars or how rich you look. So you seem like you rolled your eyes as soon as you heard that. So why don't we start with you, Mr. Crimson? What are your thoughts on that rumor?
We have two systems to get promoted at GLACE. You buy a rank or you work your way up. Now, the whole point of that is, I believe you'll probably have a question of rank selling, so I won't go too much into that. I mean...
Yeah, that is another question.
Yeah, loads of people ask us about rank selling all the time. But depending on which way you want to play it, we have two options for that reason. You can buy your way to CEO is the highest rank, and it's the highest rank that you can buy before we go into like the departments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But when we're doing promotions, we promote on two things. We promote on activity and performance. So when we do our promotions, this is public knowledge, we look at if a person's been in the game for a long period of time and if they exceed our expectations, because everything that we do is on Hira, what we log all of our stuff on a thing called Hira. So a lot of other groups do it, so we just thought we'd jump on the bandwagon. But we look at that and we look to see how long they're in game for, and then we look at the professional side. We look at if they're active, if they're not. Well, we've activity and all that. If we look at if they are polite in the community, we look at if they are, if they've not got suspended. We look at if they're, put a lot of effort into GLACE. You see, for me, a lot of groups think it's just activity, but for me, it's the person as well. You have to be a nice person, really, to get up the ranks. And there's a difference between that and people who try and suck up to you. That's as a group, as senior high ranks, you need to know the difference between it. You need to know a person if they're nice because they're nice, and you need to know the difference between people who try and bribe you or anything, because that is a big no. I mean, so I am still friends with a lot of ex-Cream staff, and the reason I'm still friends with them is because they're genuinely nice people. Yeah, they've got to their ranks at Cream because they were generally nice people. It's hardly the case that I will turn around and say, look, you was promoted because of your super, super happy face. I know the name. I know the name aesthetic has changed, but we don't look at limiteds apart from if you buy a rank. But you can only go up to a certain point, and that's for a reason. You can only go up to H5 for a reason.
I'll add on to Crimson a little bit, but I will admit, at some point, the person, Crimson, when he was talking about, you gotta also judge them by the type of person they are. Yeah. And I'll admit, we don't clothing that rumor is just false. I've never we've never taken into consideration how rich a player looks or whatever to be promoted, because in fact, I'll say this. In fact, it's if you really think about it logically, right? You would want to keep them lower so that they could buy a higher rank. I'm not saying we've ever done that. We've never done that, but it's someone with the rich avatar. It's if they really want the rank so bad, they'll just probably buy it if they're super, because it's but the really important ranks, like the ones that run the group, we don't sell. And that's for a very specific reason, where we don't want people just to pay for power. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we do that to an extent, but like, the people that are making decisions, running the departments, like, I don't want some noob that has no idea what they're doing. But it's like, people, like, we have a lot of systems in place to deal with admin abusers. Like, you can't ban everybody in the game at once. You can't. It's not possible.
No,
I mean, you can, actually, I'm not going to tell you what you could do, because then
Yeah,
I don't want
no.
to give you,
Yeah, no, don't want that. No.
I don't want to give your viewers any ideas, but but there is a bias when we promote people. Like, people will say they're not biased, but there automatically is. Like, Crimson admitted that he had a bias. When you judge a person's character, like, there's no like system to like really judge who's good or not. Like, there's no, like, you can't mathematically judge someone who's better. And so, like, there's going to be a bias. You get what I mean? Like, even though it's not a bad bias, there is bias. Like, because,
I think a lot of the time, for example, if you're talking about a senior position, let's say head of public relations, you'll probably in your mind have 3 candidates lined up. And
like, we've hired someone that may have not worked as hard as another person, but they've had experience. We've done that before. I will admit that. Like, I look at experience definitely at bigger, like, more known groups. Like, if they've like good positions at those groups, I would be willing to hire them, because when you have experience working at other groups, they can bring in new thoughts to my group.
Definitely.
And
Yeah, it can
like,
add on.
That's how, and like, I don't want to run like one single way where it's like you have to do this or this. Like, I want to be able to be flexible and like change your system, and having different types of people is perfect. And like, there's a lot of staff members in and we tried doing elections once, where we have chairwoman and vice chairwoman, or chairman, or whatever. Like, it doesn't gender, like, doesn't matter. We change it whenever people switch out. But there's a lot of people that think that it's about, like, I'm all for elections, because it's like that's pretty cool, and it keeps things out, keeps things like kind of unique. Yeah, interesting, unique. And it's like, your job's not there forever, so you got to make the best of it, kind of thing. But so a lot of people disagree with that, because they think that people, it'll just be like a popularity contest and not people who really work hard for the rank, which that is a good point. But I mean, there's been a lot of problems in the past with staff members and stuff, and obviously friends promoting friends, like that I will admit, if you're friends of friends, like, that leads to promotion quicker. It's not aesthetic clothing. If you're like a friend of a friend, you're more likely to be promoted. Like, that is true. Like, I'm not the aesthetic rumor is completely false. Like, clothes, for me at least. Like, other groups may do that. Like, they might promote, like, but then again, it doesn't really do anything. Like, it doesn't really do anything for the group. Like, someone looks rich, okay, great. Like, some people might get noted customer if they look rich, because usually a lot of rich players are kind of well known. So it's like like causation versus correlation. It's like it's not a cause, like, but it's like a correlation. It's just a coincidence, that the person's rich. You get what I mean? Like,
yeah. So you mentioned how with friends of friends being a promotion. Now, I was a part of Roblox groups a long time ago, not like cafe groups or anything. I was part of a police group long time ago. Like, we're talking probably close to a decade ago. Then it was, what was it, a military group, and then a Star Wars Jedi group. And in those groups, there was definitely a bias about friendship. If you were friends with certain people, you would just skyrocket through the ranks, whereas other people wouldn't be able to do that as easily. Do you think that this is a problem in a lot of groups, or do you think this is just something?
I will admit this. I've done that very single thing before. I've let friends, I've let friends, like, a good example, like, I've let noted customers, friends of mine, like, I've let them in, like, I give them more chances than other people. Like, there's people in our Discord right now that we've banned, like, staff members have banned before because they've broken rules. Like, and if they weren't a friend of mine, they would be gone. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that like, definitely everyone's got that sort of bias kind of thing. And like, look, I'll admit it. Like, I do have that bias where it's like, I've never promoted a friend to like SHR per se, but I've given friends like, supervisor or shift leader or something like that, because it's like, it's a really low rank, and it's like they want like whatever. But if they do troll, I will, I won't stop them from being like ranked. Like there was a friend of mine that did this once, and and they trolled with the admin, and we had to fire them because they were causing, and I don't do it as much anymore. Like I don't, in fact, I don't really involve myself with like operations or ranking or anything like that, because I don't want to like be like
you don't want that bias to cloud your judgment, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah.
I think if we convert that to GLACE, what you was talking about with your experience, put that into GLACE. When it comes to promotions, we have at GLACE, we have a system where more. It's not just, that person's good, we'll promote them. What we have is we have a specific type of form where everybody fills out, and that means that if lots of people have selected one person, then it goes through. We don't just say, look, you can get promoted up there, you can get promoted up there. We do look for different types of things, and that's the misconception. But when we're talking about inactive people getting removed, we do have it at GLACE where we are enforcing, I would probably say, quite easy activity requirements for our assistant manager clusters. But the reason for that is just to make sure that everybody is, contributing something to the community. Because in my mind, it's not fair if we have like one assistant manager who's doing like, 10 hours a week and another one's doing 30 minutes. It's not contributing to the community. And that's where we then go, right, the 10-hour one is contributing, the 30-minute one isn't that much, so he's not completed the activity requirement, so therefore it's only fair if we do it that way, and we try to eliminate bias, but there's always going to be bias. I have a bias, Alex has a bias.
In fact, Crimson won't admit this, but it's true, Crimson. Back in Cream, when Cookie, he was our when he was the chairman, you like, personally, what I saw, you kind of sort off the ranks pretty quickly, Crimson. Like, come on now.
Well, I bought.
You bought CSO, but you got the BOT.
I bought vice president, right? President, okay,
You got the BOT pretty quickly after that. Remember? You were like.
It took me 5 months to get to SHR at Cream.
So basically, some backstory. Cookie, he the reason why a lot of British people run my groups now is because at Cream, Cookie was British, and I love Cookie. He was a great man, and by no means, I make a joke all the time saying I hate British people as a joke. Like I'm not as a joke, because there's a lot of British people that work at my groups, because. At Cream, when Cookie was working he was like my second person kind of thing. He was British, and a lot of you kind of click. There's like people you click with, and there was just a lot of British people that he clicked, and he kind of created it. And the board was amazing. I love everybody that works for me. For the most part, I love I'm not like this is all passed up, but Cookie was great, and it sucks that he's not really around that much anymore, but he was great. He helped me out a lot, and I will admit this, like I'm not like a person, like there's some people, a lot of group owners, they have a lot of help, and they talk about them doing it by themselves and all that, and they have a lot of help. And for me, in fact, I don't even run GLACE. Crimson, Maddie, they kind of do all the heavy work for me. Like I don't really, and I'll admit it, because it's like, I don't want to like take other people's credit for work. Like I run the advertisements, or no, I don't even do that anymore.
I'll do that.
I pay credit. Like we'll use GLACE funds, But like I used to be really involved, and when I was really involved with what was happening, I felt like when you involve yourself too much, like you're micromanaging everything, it's really stressful, and it's also like kind of controlling. And I'm pretty controlling when it comes to like everything that, like, there's a lot of things at GLACE that happens that I disagree with, but because I've sort of stepped back, I've let my group run, and that's how we've been able to grow so quickly, so fast, because I've kind of stepped back. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of owners do this as well. Like I talk to a lot of owners. There's some more hands-on owners and they do really well. But there's some people who kind of just step back, and like that's kind of what you do at some point, you know. Like, what's the whole point of having all these staff members if you're the one doing all the work?
Yeah, you kind of have to
There
let
is-
go of the reins, so to speak,
Yeah,
at some point.
Yeah,
There is
yeah,
a
but
time
I'm
where
not.
you
Yeah,
step back and leave it
yeah,
because I oversee the chair and the vice chair positions, which lead our senior high rank team.
yeah,
And they just DM me a couple of times a week saying this is what's going on. I help out with stuff, but there is a time where you just say, right, we've hired these people to do the job. They need
yeah,
to do it now.
Yeah, so they
yeah,
need to be
and
left to their own devices,
Of
basically.
course, yeah.
yeah, and that's how you create a working system, you know. Like I was all for everybody. Like, the way it used to be, groups used to be ran was like you kind of just you hire like like 5-10 people that run the thing, and they decide on everything together. Which it never works because you see two people doing all the work, then the rest slacking off. It never works. If you want to create a successful group, you need a system like. And this is why GLACE worked so well, because people from Cream, they were doing, because we sold ranks then, we used Cream knowledge to like run GLACE, and you need systems where people are doing their own jobs, and you can't have this thing where people work together. We do that in the board, like people are all deciding on their own, like they make decisions together. But like with the EAs, like they get tasks and they do them, and it works better because when people work together, when there's a big clump of people that have all the same responsibilities, you'll have people that slack off. And what I mean by slack off is like they won't even talk in the chat, they won't do anything. Like, we don't expect people to like take this as like a real job kind of thing. I've never expected anybody to do that, but like I'm saying, like, yeah, promote, like, I think like the busiest days is when promotion day. It happens every 2 weeks. It's a cycle, and like that's probably one of the busiest days because it's like we got to go through thousands of staff and promote them. And besides that, but having more people, it's less tasks on you, and it's a great way. And I mean, I make jokes because I pay my staff members, actually. Like, I give back, and I used to give away a lot of Robux. Like, I've given away 100,000 Robux before to a person.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm pretty, because
Yeah.
I don't DevX. I'll admit it. I don't DevX, and I tell people I do because it's confusing why I can't. It's not that I can't. Like, I can if I want to. It's just it's way too confusing. And
I used to have a pretty similar situation with my YouTube checks. I had a pretty similar situation where, like, I could if I wanted to, but I just couldn't for the longest time. I get it now, but for a while I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and
it's personal preference, really, isn't it?
yeah, and so I give back to the community, and part of the thing is like, like when you have Robux, I gotta pay the people that are running my groups. Most groups don't do this, and I'm actually kind of like the first group to do it. And there's a lot of groups that do it now because of me, because a lot of the owners would just kind of like take the profit and move on. But I pay my staff. It's not much. We're not talking like you can DevX with this Robux, but they're very thankful for it. And I used to. I gave limiteds to my SHRs before. Like, this was a while ago, but now I don't, because I have I'm trying to like invest in other things and stuff. But yeah, and but some people, and it gives them a goal. It gives staff members a goal to work up, because it's like, you have a chance to actually get Robux, and we don't give out free Robux to like people who don't do any work. Crimson, he decides on the pay. He tells me who I need to pay, and then every month I send those payments.
So like I said at the very beginning of this video, this interview was 2.5 hours long, so there was no way I could upload it all in one go. So this is part 1. This is the end of part 1, but this interview is nowhere near over yet. There's still more to go, but that's where I'm going to call it for right now. So, if you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to leave a comment asking questions to these two gentlemen, because I'm sure they're going to see this video and probably respond to comments. We'll see. So, if you have a question for them, let me know in the comments, or let them know in the comments, rather. And if you have a question you want me to ask a potential interviewer in a future episode, make sure to let me know in the comments as well. Make sure to check out my second channel and follow me on Twitter. Pay attention to the community tab for updates as well. I actually tweeted out when this interview happened. I told people, hey, Connect the Dots episode 2 is finished. It was conducted. So make sure to follow me on Twitter for more updates. But anyways, that's where it's going to end off for now. Look forward to part 2, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!